Alright, what is going on, guys? Got another breakdown for UFC Vegas 57. This one is at middleweight. We got Chris Curtis taking on Rodolfo Vieira. Curtis going to have a 2-inch reach advantage, but I don't think reach is going to matter all that much in this fight. So I will start with Rodolfo Vieira. The definition of a one-trick pony, but maybe the most high-level pure BJJ player on the roster. Maybe we can say that. At least the most credentialed. He's won multiple national BJJ championships, international, excuse me, and both of his UFC wins by submission. Gets the nice arm triangle after battling a nasty eye cut against Saparov Safarov. It's just UFC trying to build a guy up. They wanted that outcome. A little dicey, but then of course the infamous loss to Anthony Hernandez comes in like a 6-1 favorite. And just empties the tank, man. I've never seen somebody gas out so bad in the first round. He had nothing left midway through the first. Hernandez was able to survive. I don't know how he survived because Vieira had him down really early, works to his back. Maybe he got a little overzealous, but Hernandez able to survive the early sub attempt, have some success on the feet. Vieira gasses out, and everything was landing so clean. He was just stumbling around, just stumbling into head kicks. Somehow survives the first round, empties whatever little bit of energy he has left, just trying to panic wrestle, going nowhere. Ends up getting choked out himself. One of the biggest men's MMA upsets in a while, man. Usually when you see those big upsets in the women's fights, but yeah, big upset, and his stock took a huge hit because already a one trick pony, but it was just really pronounced. And then he comes back against Dustin Stoltzfus and does some things well. The Rodolfo Vieira truthers, man, they'll always tell you about his jab. He's obviously going to need more than a jab to really make it in the UFC, but his jab is good. It's very good. He had Stoltzfus's nose bloody pretty early, which, by the way, I don't know if you've ever been to Lancaster, PA, but like everybody is named Stoltzfus there, and of course that is where Stoltzfus is from. So I don't know, just a little nugget, but yeah, man. Dustin Stoltzfus maybe a little bit better than the record shows, and yeah, Vieira did have some success with the striking in that one. I do wonder if it's a little bit of Stoltzfus was just maybe thinking he has to maximize time spent on the feet, just worried about when the fight's going to go to the ground, that he's not expecting anything coming back, and he ends up getting caught. Maybe that happened because it wasn't crazy the strikes he was landing, very fundamental, but yeah, he did good. He paces himself. He doesn't go for the takedown until like the second round, and he ends up getting the choke in the third round. So solid bounce back win from Rodolfo Vieira, but he's definitely got a difficult test here in Chris Curtis. And Chris Curtis, man, if you are a fan of MMA, if you're an MMA hardcore, you're probably so happy to see the success Chris Curtis is having. He fought with every promotion under the sun, man. He's got fights with Fury, CFFC, CES, and PFL. His last couple losses were with PFL. Lost to Ray Cooper the third and Magomed Murmakedamov, I think. Is that how you say it? Magomed Karamov. There we go. I'm good with these Dagestani names, man. I try not to let any of them slip by me. But yeah, both of those guys are solid. I think that they would be ranked if they're in the UFC. I totally get why they're secure in the bag because if you can win $1 million every year with PFL, or you can be a middling guy in the UFC, maybe with a little bit more potential to climb to the top. I would take option two every day, man. There's only so much brain damage you can get, but yeah, very respectable losses there. He's riding a big winning streak, and a lot of UFC veterans on the resume here, UFC fighters who he's fought on his rise to the UFC before the other fighter got to the UFC. Also, Andre Fiallo, to name one of those. He has a win over him not too long ago. So yeah, man, just very credentialed, lots of wins, just gritty veteran, and it's great to see him in the UFC. And not only in the UFC, having great success, takes out two solid names, Phil Hawes and Brendan Allen. Both a lot of people, just talk about the holes in both of their games, but I think it's because of Chris Curtis beating them that people thought that. And they Phil Hawes looked excellent last week, probably the best he's ever looked. Brendan Allen survived the tough test in Jacob Malkoun. And, I mean, boring fighter, but he's a tough test because he imposes his grappling and his wrestling. But, yeah, man, just two very good wins for Chris Curtis. And he spends a lot of time training with Sean Strickland. Seems to get along with Sean Strickland better than anybody else. He does hop around gyms just like Strickland. I think he trains out of Syndicate a lot, and he also spends a lot of time at Extreme Couture. But they've been training with Marvin Vittori a good amount over the last few months. So a lot of high level names in that gym as Chris Curtis kind of commits to middleweight. He has bounced around before, took some short notice fights at middleweight with the UFC, and I guess he's just staying there now. So yeah, it's awesome to see the success that Chris Curtis is having. But yeah, style wise, you can tell that he spends a lot of time training with Strickland. And I would say that his technical striking, at least from a boxing standpoint, is a little bit better than Strickland. Strickland just, keeps that jab in your face. He moves forward. Strickland does Curtis does the same thing. He will move forward the whole time. Heavy volume. But I just think his boxing technique is a little bit better. He works the body very well. Sign of a good boxer, which could be very helpful in this fight. Just wear on Vieira's gas tank. He's got good hooks, good uppercuts, very good in close, and he has a much better guard than Sean Strickland. Sean Strickland's head movement just freaks me out, man, or his lack of guard, and just the way he just nonchalantly just moves out of the way of strikes. Curtis does have a much tighter guard, and yeah, I like a lot of Curtis's striking game and his defense. We've seen that he has a chin in numerous fights, but in the UFC against Phil Halls, he eats that beating in the first round, stays in there, gets the knockout. So he does have some power in his hands. He's good at breaking down his opponents. Obviously, he has to keep this fight standing. That is going to be the biggest obstacle, and I think that this will probably be the most dangerous, um, let's say, all around and just best striker that Vieira has had to deal with in the UFC. So it's good that he was able to pick up that win over Stoltzfus, but he's going to need a lot more if he wants to beat Chris Curtis. But yeah, man, I do think that Chris Curtis uh, should really look to keep this fight standing. I mean, obviously, but uh, yeah, I think that if it does go to the ground, he could be in trouble. Uh, I can't remember when the last time Chris Curtis has been submitted is, if he has been submitted at all. I was looking at his record a second ago, and I didn't see one recently. But then again, he hasn't been in there with a guy on the level of Rodolfo Vieira. So we shall see. It's a tough fight to pick from a betting perspective, but Chris Curtis -135 on DK. He is -150 on FanDuel, so you can shop around. That's the range. Um, but yeah, I think I'm gonna go with Chris Curtis here. I don't know if I'm gonna bet it, but I'll just trust the all around game. I think he's got more tools that Vieira will have to deal with, and this is the main thing for Vieira. I think that him kind of just trying to conserve his gas tank and pick his spots with his submission game is going to cost him this fight if he does that. I think if there was ever a time for Rodolfo Vieira to just do what he did in the Hernandez fight, just try to blitz in there, get him out of there early, I think this is the fight because Chris Curtis is just going to just run away with these rounds if it stays standing up. Never say never. I do have to knock wood, but I don't think just having a stiff jab is going to be enough against Chris Curtis. I don't think that he's gonna stay in your face, and it's all gonna come down to how does he defend that takedown. But if we see Vieira just taking his time, just basic 1-2s, basic jab, just not trying to take him down right away because he thinks he has to, I think that Curtis is gonna work the body, and when he does go for the takedown, I mean, look, man, it's just however much better his cardio looks at, like we got to keep in mind this guy walks around at like heavyweight, or at least he used to. I know he competed at heavyweight for jiu-jitsu championships. So this is a big dude. At the same time, Chris Curtis is a little bit smaller for the weight class, so that should be kept in mind. That typically favors the grappler when it's like that. When you got a guy who's big for the weight class versus a guy who's smaller for the weight class, just naturally it's going to help the grappler. But that gas tank, man, it's hard to look past that Hernandez fight. And if Curtis can land some body shots in the first round, I just think he's gonna have the path locked up here. I think he probably will get the knockout, but maybe he'll just be economical with it. But listen, if you want to go on Vieira, the sub prop, you're probably gonna get it around like plus 200. I haven't looked at any books that have it out right now, but if Vieira is in like the plus 115 to plus 130 underdog range, plus 200 is where I think you're gonna get the sub prop. Um, Maybe it might be worse than that. You might get it like plus 180 because like, he's just a one path fighter, but I think plus 200 is what you're going to get. So not bad, not bad at all, but I think that if you want to go with Vieira, and I'm not saying that I'm going to bet this, but I think that the sub in the first round is his best bet. If he tries to take this fight late, I think it's going to be to his detriment. So maybe he'll go that route, but yeah, man. I do like Chris Curtis to win this fight, but not super confident. There's a lot that can go wrong, and I don't think I'm gonna bet it. If I do, it won't be a big wager. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Sure, subscribe and take it easy.